Welcome back, guys. I realized I never did my OG story, and I'm waiting in the car. My brother's in the bank. I figured, why don't we do a little? How did I even become a food photographer in the first place? So let's take it back. In order to do that, we have to take it back, like all the way back, 2018, 2017, kind of back. So 2017, I just got back from school. I was working with my friend, my G, and she's the same person. Side note, she's the same person who gave me my first camera. So she is an interior architect. She had a camera. I think the first time I ever saw a camera, ever went to a camera shop was with her. I was to get this particular camera. So later down the line, she's not using the camera, but I use it. Then I was using it to take pictures of my friends. I would go over to our house, take the camera, to get my friends to dress up and be like, okay, let's just go outside at night and take pictures. And all this was on auto. So fast forward 2017, come back, and we're working in this company together. And then the person that handles social media, and not I'm the person handling social media. So the photographer gets a job and he's like, oh, I noticed you like things with pictures. I have a job. Do you want it? Because he didn't want it. And I was like, sure. What is it about? He's like, it's a restaurant. His friend has a restaurant. He wants me to just come over and take pictures. I said, okay, why not? It wouldn't hurt. It wouldn't hurt. What's the worst that could happen? I take the job. I go over to the restaurant, and keep in mind, I only had an 1100D and a 51.8 lens, the Nifty 50. That was the only thing I had, and that was what my friend gave me. And I remember going in for the shoot thinking, how hard could it be? And I was completely mistaken. I shot the whole thing in auto. I did not know exposure triangle, none of the composition, lighting, nothing. But I took it nonetheless. So I did not know anything about the exposure triangle. I went in, the food was amazing, everything looked good. But your girl's pictures were grainy, to say the least, extremely grainy. And I felt, but the food looked so good. Why couldn't I translate that into picture? And that was how everything started. And the craziest part was the owner of the restaurant loved the pictures. And I was like, are we looking at the same thing? And he calls me back again and again and again. And at this point, I'm just like, I need to learn this because one, I enjoyed the food because I'm a foodie at heart. Two, I felt this food deserved better pictures. If this food was a person, it would have kicked my ass and would have said no. But the person loved the picture so much, called me back. And keep in mind, I haven't told you guys how much this first job cost me, and I will tell you later on in this video. So I go back home and I binge watch. I binge watch the woman that helped my career, that helps me understand these things, and that is none other than the bike shop, Janie Simon. I currently have access to her Artificial Lighting Academy. If you do not have that and you are into food, please do yourself a favor and get that course. It is a lifesaver. I binge watched Joni Simon to the point I watched all her backlog, then the bell notification, and I was there 20 seconds in. As she posts, I'm right there. Her, Two Love Studios, Biba Slough, Latif Photography fandom that I have for him is a different thing, but like, you get what I mean. So I remember taking, and after I then realized after taking her course, my pictures did a full 180 because then I understood what it meant to take pictures like this. And then I remember this went on for a while, and then I got my official big girl job. I got, like, this was a bit of maybe a year and a half, or yeah, about a year and a half. And I got my first big girl job. And it was, not that this wasn't a big girl job, but this was considerably larger because I was brought onto this project to cover a whole menu and make sure his everything on his menu had pictures. I think that was we're one of the first people that did that in Abuja. Oh, he wanted his customers, when they walked in and saw the menu, they knew exactly what they were looking at. And I remember before we started this project, when his restaurant was still like, there weren't chairs, there weren't curtains, they had just done screening on the floor, but we're still dedicated enough to do, like, go in and take all these pictures. And I remember taking the full menu, doing the tasting from beginning to end. This restaurant I'm talking about is Ants Abuja. I remember doing that whole project. But the thing that you wouldn't know is, when this project came about, it was the same time the iPhone 11 came about. Your girl wanted the iPhone 11 so bad, the purple one. And I remember it cost the same amount as the job. It cost, the job price would get me the iPhone 11, but it would also upgrade my gear. So, like I said, I had the 1100D, but I wanted the 6D because that was what I could afford at the time. And I remember messaging a photographer at that time and asking him, hey, so I want the iPhone 11, right? Really, really bad. But I also have a gig coming up and I don't have gear. And I'm thinking, I don't know. He's like, the money would get you the gear? I said, yes. He said, buy the gear. The gear would get you the camera. Honest to God, this project started off in November. By January, February, I had bought the iPhone 11. And that concept completely, and I mean completely, blew my mind out of the park. And from then on, I was just like, you know what? Any chance I get, I will buy the gear. I will do everything. I will make sure my gear is up to standard, make sure everything. And that mindset shift just changed everything, because it's like, it's not about the frivolous things. Focus on building something that you actually enjoy, and everything else comes easy. And it's true. Everything else comes very easy. And so now, let me expose to you how much I got paid on my first job. My first food photography job was 60K. 60,000 naira changed the course and trajectory of my life. And here I am, still being a food photographer. Yeah, 7-8 years later, I am still doing this and I am still enjoying it. I'm happy, and what even makes me happier is, like, I see other people do it. I see what May Visual does. I see what Ye Studio does. I see what Maryam Dabo Studio does. You know, and you see, like, even there's somebody new that just popped up. Ed Food Shot, him too. Then you now see what people like in Lagos are doing, and you're like, we actually be doing a lot of crazy stuff. And the wildest thing, Latif Photography, he's a Nigerian. Have you seen that man's pictures? Bro, one of the best dark mood photographers in food out there. Quote me anywhere. If you want to fight me, meet me outside. I will fight you over this man's pictures. I remember I did a shot. He was the inspiration, and I knew I nailed it on the head when May Visuals saw the picture, and first thing he said was, Latif Photography. I said, what? I was like, the fact that you could check it, because he was the mood board, he was the inspiration for that. But I digress. The reason I'm sharing this is because I actually never shared this, and I am very happy to be a food photographer, or just a photographer in general. I am a very happy individual in the niche that I have picked. And as long as you do what you enjoy, you will always find a way around, and just make sure you're good. But I'm not saying, yeah, as long as you focus and grow and make sure the whole point is do things that you enjoy, and things change regardless, but always make sure you're enjoying the process. And photography school course, the food photography school course, I got that too, and that helped as well. That's how I'm able to achieve bright food photos. But alhamdulillah, I have been able to grow, and I have been able to carve out a little space for myself in this market. And I am very excited to see what I do more of. With that, I have shared with you how I got my first food photography job, how a 60K job changed the course of my life, and how I got into photography in general. With that, catch you next time. I was gonna say next week, but I don't think I'm gonna post next week because I don't know when this is gonna go up. So see you when next I see you, and we'll talk more in future videos. Bye. This was fun. Coffee break. I am so tired of being in the car. Krispy Kreme. Oh, my brain didn't work there for a minute.